Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Thursday, June 4th, 2020 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi and our energy mantra for today is I listen to understand. And we are one day out from a powerful eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius. And today we actually have the moon shifting into Sagittarius. So like all systems go, full moon, partial lunar eclipse. Now, one of the things I've been telling everybody in the eclipse readings, to me, it doesn't matter if an eclipse is partial or total. It's not about that brings the lessons so much or the intensity so much. It really is the aspects and where it works in our chart and the lessons. And let me be fair and say, this is our first Sagittarius eclipse in like a year and a half of eclipses in Sagittarius. If you notice, eclipses often move in alignment with the nodal energies. That being said, we're still going to have a Capricorn and Cancer eclipse coming up the next two, but still, that's where we just moved from. So, this Sagittarius energy, we really need to get a hold of the Sagittarius energy just to start working with these lessons. Now, let's keep in mind the South Node is in Sagittarius. So with the South Node in Sagittarius, one of the things that we wanted to focus on, as a whole, is going from any know-it-all energy that we may have and carry to a place of North Node in Gemini, being open, keeping our minds open as information feeds in, comes in. And I do think that this is in part part of the lesson of this Sagittarius eclipse energy. Being able to tune in, listen in, where you are still carrying beliefs that lead to know-it-all, as in I have my shutters up and I cannot listen to anything outside of myself. So being very aware of what beliefs, what even potentially truths that you are carrying that are outdated, in accordance with your soul. This is not in accordance with anything outside of yourself, in accordance with your soul truth. Now, it may be lessons from the outside that make you realize that, but it is always this internal game. Like, let me tune into myself. Let me listen to myself. Let me do this inner work. Because all that inner work affects that outside energy. So be aware of that. I'm going to get deep into the eclipse energies in tomorrow's scope for the eclipse, but that's just something to be aware of. I have a sneeze coming. They're move through or pass. Decide to pass. Okay. That is one of the things that we want to look at with this moon shifting to Sagittarius. Another thing, full moon energy, it illuminates stuff. You may have something come out of seemingly nowhere with this energy. So just be aware. Be ready to feel the balls coming at you from nowhere outside. I'm thinking of tennis. That's why I'm like waving my arm around in case you were wondering. It is not a fly, and there's not a magic wand. Definitely not a magic wand. This definitely does take work. But do be aware of these energies coming up from the deep. And like I said, even with this Venus retrograde, Venus and the Sun still illuminating each other, still working each other in this energy, I do feel a lot of these energies are coming from past yin lifetimes of energies that have been suppressed that we do need to embrace and embody and remember. So remembering is a big part of all this. So that being said, let's just dig into the astro of the day. We're building into something that will have exact on eclipse day as well, but this is just popping up right now. Oh, geez. I'm looking at it in the chart. Okay, so we're building into a square between Chiron and Mercury. Mercury in pre-retrograde shadow right now, in the sign of Cancer, squaring Chiron in Aries, and also feeding into that is a sextile with Uranus and, Lilith, because she's still hanging out near there. Lilith into that Mercury energy. So again, feelings, energies coming out of nowhere. My feeling is with this square between Mercury and Chiron is that the healing that's meant to take place, you embracing yourself, it may not be comfortable. Healing, so funny, because you would think the dis-ease is uncomfortable, whatever that may be. There's so many layers of dis-ease. But yet, a lot of times, the healing journey itself is also uncomfortable. So be aware that being true to yourself, Chiron in Aries, being true to your soul, self, energy, it may require breaking through some walls, breaking through some foundations, because like I said, it may feel very uncomfortable. It may bring up uncomfortable emotions within yourself. It may be that the wall that you have to break through is those uncomfortable emotions. So do be aware of that as well, that we're building into the exact of that, but we're definitely feeling that in the Astros today. So we have the moon finishing up in Scorpio, holy moly. Again, building to this full moon. So the Scorpio energy is fully illuminated. We want to be very aware of responding rather than being in reaction mode. That is a scorpion tail that my hand is doing. Be aware of where those reactional energies are coming from. We have more effect truly when we come from a place of response. How are you being called to respond? And respond doesn't mean there's not action. It's not just that knee-jerk action that often will cause more wounding. So where and how are you being called to respond? Moon in Scorpio, connecting to Pluto, connecting to Juno. What did I say? Jupiter. I called her Juno. Juno is Jupiter's wife, but Jupiter, the Pluto connection. Where are you being called, again, into your power? And to be empowered, again, means response rather than reaction. Reaction is usually when we're in the wounding. Response is when we bring awareness. It doesn't mean that the wounding's not there, but we bring awareness of that soul energy, of that heart energy, to help us show up in our highest and best. So response mode on, empowerment mode on. That Jupiter connection with moon in Scorpio energy. I think we all have to take a second and just acknowledge, even though this is challenging what we're going through as a nation right now and as a world, a lot of this destruction is unfortunately needed. I will say a lot, because not all, but creation is a byproduct of destruction. You know, the Scorpio energy, the death and rebirth cycles, they do work hand in hand. That Phoenix energy. Jupiter brings us hope of rebuilding with a foundation of integrity. And in the States, you know, we can say our foundation, it is faulty. So this is important, these things that are happening. Even when we're uncomfortable, we have to be noticing where we are called to play our part in it, because we all want to play a part in building the new foundation, but building it in integrity. So it's just a little bit of awareness, I feel like, a teaching moment that Jupiter is bringing us with that. And that also goes hand in hand with that Sagittarius energy. Again, like tuning into the knowing that despite what's going on right now and the fear and anger and so many layers that it's bringing up, it is needed on so many levels. Ugh. I wish it didn't have to be that way, you know, and I'm sure many of you think that as well. Ugh, why does it have to be this way? Because this is all part, unfortunately, of these evolutionary learning cycles, and where it is time for a level up, for sure. What song was it? Could You Be Love? Right before this, I always put on my Pandora radio before doing the scope when I'm just sitting, you know, pulling the cards, looking at the astro, and that was the last song right before I turned it off was Bob Marley, Could You Be Love? And Be Loved. And the whole song, I was like, oh my gosh, get up, get up, get up now. Like, the whole song was like, this song is the battle cry, you know, like, this is where we want to shift up to. Okay, so, sorry, side note, Moon will shift into Sagittarius 10:17 a.m. That is Pacific time. As always, there may be a little void moon energy. If you are feeling that downtime, I advise you, tune in and listen. Do a meditation or just lie down with the intention of listening. See what comes up for you. Again, stuff is rising to be processed through. And then the moon is connecting to Saturn. That won't be till later in the afternoon. Saturn in Aquarius, connecting to the sun. Or not the sun. Can you tell? Mercury? Mercury is going into the shadow, calling Jupiter Juno, and the sun, the moon. I'm all flipped around. Moon in Sagittarius, connecting to Saturn in Aquarius. Oh, you know, that's one of the energies of Sagittarius that we do need to remember. Sagittarius is gifted in the midst of winter of bringing, or the death of fall, technically, is gifted with bringing optimism, bright future, the ability to take aim as we connect to this Saturn in Aquarius energy, which Saturn in Aquarius tunes us into the future, what we will be building. This is where we do want to take a step and second and hold the vision. What is the vision of the future? What is your vision of peace? What is your vision of people living together harmoniously? What is your vision of somebody being able to have a truth that differs than yours and having a beautiful conversation about differing truths, rather than people constantly trying to change one another because my truth has to be your truth because there's only one path to God? No. With God being an infinite being, God, universe, spirit, I prefer universe myself, there are infinite paths, which means there are infinite truths on the way there. What would happen if we could carry and hold that energy? What would happen if we could carry and hold that energy in each of us? Because in each of us is the know-it-all archetype that we do have to be aware of. Well, my way is the best way. No, it is not necessarily. Maybe it is, but maybe it's not. So do be aware of that energy. That's a powerful little connection as we build into this eclipse. So I think this is long enough. Let me show you my cards. Well, in case you didn't know, we're in a state of change. It is the Wheel of Fortune card. The Wheel of Fortune card means at any time we could be on the downswing and we can be on the upswing. This card is not reverse. It is upright. So I'm trusting that these eclipses, especially if we can like honor the lessons, it is bringing us into an upswing. An upswing. As we use our personal power, our empowered space, as creators, as light bringers, as love bringers. There's the courage song, or courage card. Strength. This is strength in traditional tarot. Where are you being called to have courage to bring your light? Where are you being guided to show up? And in all of this, I have the fighting card. Tensions are high. Obviously, we know this. It's Captain Obvious. You know, tensions are high. And yet, where are we being called to fight the good fight? Where are we being called to show up and have courage? Where do we need to listen to our guidance? Where do we need to share our light and show our empowerment to bring about the change that is already in place, but does require each of us to show up in our individual role? And again, your role is not his role is not her role is not their role. You know, we all have different roles and no shame about it. We're all just showing up to the best of our consciousness at this time. But hopefully, there are some learnings lifting us out of said roles a few levels higher. Because could we be love? absolutely we could be. So that is it for today. You can book a reading with me. Email me, mimiclark@gmail.com. Besides that, the better it gets, the better it gets. There's more than enough love in the world for you. You have the power, and do stay curious. Namaste.